Without thinking, she ran out into the night and into the dark road, her feet pounding against the ground. A pair of headlights appeared in the distance, speeding toward her. Pauline didn't hesitate. She threw herself in front of the car, collapsed to her knees with arms outstretched. The tires of the car screeched. The car swerved violently, stopping just inches away from her. The driver's door flung open, and a tall, well-dressed man stepped out, his furious voice cutting through the night. "Are you out of your mind? Did village people send you after me to put me in trouble? What is wrong with you?" The sound of wailing filled the cold night air as Pauline Eze clutched her younger brother, Zion, close. Blue and red emergency lights flashed against the dark sky, illuminating the wreckage of her parents' car. The once proud Mr. and Mrs. Eze, owners of one of the most successful manufacturing companies in the city, now lay lifeless under white sheets. Pauline's vision blurred with tears. Everything felt surreal. 1 minute, they had been a happy family, and the next, her parents were gone. She watched as strangers gossiped around her, whispering in hushed tones. "It wasn't an accident," an elderly woman muttered. "I heard the brakes failed. But how? That car was brand new now." "It's those uncles," another woman added. "Chief Ebuka and Chief Nnamdi, they have been eyeing that company for years. Now, they have their chance." Pauline's head snapped in their direction. "What did you just say?" The women immediately scattered, pretending they hadn't said anything. Pauline's heart pounded as she turned to her father's closest business associate, Mr. Adisa. "Uncle Adisa, please, is it true? Were my uncles involved?" The elderly man sighed heavily, his eyes filled with pity. "Pauline, listen to me. Be careful. Your uncles are powerful men. If they were behind this, you must stay quiet for now." "Stay quiet?" Pauline's voice cracked with anger. "They killed my parents!" "Shh!" Mr. Adisa glanced around nervously. "I will do my best to investigate, but please, don't be reckless." Pauline felt helpless. Zion, just 15 years old, was sobbing beside her. She knelt and hugged him. "I promise you, we will be okay," she whispered, though deep inside her, she wasn't sure how. A few days later, her worst fears came true. She and her brother were summoned to her father's company, Exiled Group Limited, where her uncles, Chief Ebuka and Chief Nnamdi, were already seated in the CEO's office, her father's office. Chief Ebuka smirked. "Pauline, Zion, sit down." Zion sat, but Pauline remained standing. "What is this about?" she asked. Chief Nnamdi, dressed in a flowing agbada, adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses. "Your father's business needs leadership. Since you and your brother are too young, we have taken over." Pauline's stomach dropped. "That's not true. My father left a will, and I'm not too young. I'm 24. Chief Ebuka chuckled. "Did he leave a will? Oh dear. Pity we couldn't find it." Pauline clenched her fists. "You think you can just take over everything?" Chief Nnamdi sighed. "My dear, This is business. Now, since we can't find the will, it means you and your brother no longer have a home here. And we know that you don't have any money to your name as well. So, we suggest you return to the village where you can at least have access to a free home and not worry about paying rent. Village? Zion asked weakly. But the house is too big. Chief Ebuka's smirk widened. For your information, the house your parents built in the village is no longer accessible to both of you. That is also part of what is under our control. But you both can go to your mother's village. I'm sure there will be room for you there. What? You are also denying us of our family house in the village? Uncle, how have we offended you? I know very well that my parents brought both of you into this company because he trusted you both. Now, this is how you want to repay him? I don't have anything to tell you, but I can assure you that God in heaven, who sees everything, will fight for us when the time is right, Pauline said as she grabbed Zion and walked out of the building. As Pauline walked out, she felt her world shattered. Her parents were gone, and now she and Zion had lost everything. With nowhere else to turn, they boarded a dusty bus heading to their mother's hometown. The streets of the city faded behind them, replaced by the narrow roads and red soil of their mother's village, a place they had only visited a few times in their lifetime. Zion sniffled. Pauline, what will we do now? Pauline took a deep breath, forcing a smile. I don't know, Zion, but one thing I know is that we will survive. Our late parents' spirit will always be with us. Little did Pauline know that survival would be much harder than she imagined. The village was nothing like the bustling city Pauline and Zion had grown up in. The roads were dusty, the houses were small, and there were no flashy cars or shopping malls. Instead, goats roamed freely, women carried basins of water on their heads, and the loud crows of roosters became their new alarm clocks. On reaching their mother's family house in the village, Pauline met her biggest shock. There was no one in the compound because her maternal grandmother, who lived there, was no more, and her mother, who had access to the compound, was now also gone. Pauline didn't know when she released all the sorrow, bitterness, and anger she had been harboring inside her and let out a loud cry. She had tried to stay strong all this while for Zion's sake, but now she felt as helpless as anyone who had been in her position would feel. Zion, seeing his big sister crying helplessly, joined in as well. Luckily for Pauline and Zion, an elderly woman who was just returning from her farm that moment stopped to ask what was wrong. Pauline could barely speak because she had cried so much that her voice had become almost inaudible. But while she was speaking, the old woman interrupted. Are you Adanne's daughter? Yes, Mama. My uncles chased I and my brother away from our father's house and our village house and asked us to go to our mother's house in the village. Now we are here and no one is here to open the gate for us. I don't know where else we can go, Pauline said tearfully. It's all right, my daughter. My name is Mama Nkiru. You look exactly like your mother, and she was my younger sister's best friend while growing up. It is sad that your parents are no more, and that your uncles have chosen to treat you this way. Since your grandmother died, no one has lived in this house, except when your parents bring you both to spend the holiday. But I will not let you two sleep outside. I have a little hut beside my own hut. If you don't mind, you could be managing there until things get better, or until we find a way to break into the house, Mama Nkiru said. Thank you, Mama. Thank you. Any shelter we can get now will be nothing short of a miracle, Pauline said, wiping her eyes and smiling slightly. Mama Nkiru guided them to a small hut made of mud, which had just one room, a leaking roof, and a kerosene lamp for light. Pauline sat on the floor, staring at Zion, who quickly curled up on the mat on the floor. I miss home, Zion whispered. Pauline blinked back tears. This is home now, Zion. We have to make the best of it. The next morning, Pauline woke up to Zion shivering under their thin wrapper. She placed a hand on his forehead. It was warm. Zion, are you okay? She asked. He nodded weakly. I'm fine. I'm just hungry. Pauline's stomach rumbled at the mention of food. They hadn't eaten since yesterday afternoon. Determined to find work, she marched to the village square, where traders and farmers gathered to sell their goods. She approached a woman selling tomatoes. Auntie, good morning, ma. Please, do you need any help? I can wash plates. I can sweep. I can arrange your stall. Anything. The woman looked at Pauline from head to toe, still dressed in her city clothes, because those were the clothes they had, and then scoffed. You, a city girl, can you even hold a basket of tomatoes without smashing them? The other traders burst into laughter, but Pauline swallowed her pride. I can do anything, ma. Please, try me. The woman hesitated, then pointed at a stack of tomatoes. Fine, carry that basket to my house. Pauline bent down to lift it. It looked light until she actually picked it up. Ah! She gasped as the weight nearly made her topple over. The traders laughed even harder. See am, she no even fit carry ordinary tomato, one man said. Pauline clenched her teeth. Moved by hunger, she adjusted her grip and lifted the basket on her head. By the time she reached the woman's house, her head felt like she had carried a baby elephant. You try, Sha, the woman admitted. Here, take this. She handed Pauline 2 small tubers of yam and 200 naira. Pauline's heart swelled with gratitude. Thank you, ma. Thank you so much. She ran home, excited to cook for Zion, only to find him curled up on the floor, clutching his stomach. His face was pale, his breathing racked. Zion! She dropped the yams and rushed to him. What's wrong? His body shook violently. He didn't respond. Panic clawed at her chest. She ran to Mama Nkiru's hut. Mama, please, Zion is sick. The old woman grabbed some herbs and followed her. She boiled them into a thick, dark concoction. Make him drink this, she said. Pauline held Zion's head and pressed the wooden cup to his lips. He groaned but drank. Hours passed. His fever only got worse. God, please, Pauline whispered. Don't take Zion too, please. By nightfall, Zion's breathing had become dangerously shallow. Pauline's hands trembled as she felt his pulse, weak and faint. Desperation gripped her. The herbal remedies weren't working. Without thinking, she ran out into the night and into the dark road, her feet pounding against the ground. A pair of headlights appeared in the distance, speeding toward her. Pauline didn't hesitate. She threw herself in front of the car, collapsed to her knees with arms outstretched, screaming for help. The tires of the car screeched. The car swerved violently, stopping just inches away from her. The driver's door flung open, and a tall, well-dressed man stepped out, his furious voice cutting through the night. "Are you out of your mind? Did village people send you after me to put me in trouble? What is wrong with you?" But Pauline didn't care. She stood up, sobbing, "Please, help me. My brother is dying." "Your brother? How do I know you are saying the truth? This could be a setup for all I care," the man said in frustration. He had no patience for drama, but as he stepped closer and saw the desperation in her eyes, something in his heart shifted. "Where is he?" he asked. Pauline grabbed his hand. "Follow me, please." The night air was thick with dust and the distant sounds of crickets, but all Pauline could hear was the frantic pounding of her own heart. She sprinted ahead of the man toward the tiny mud house where Zion lay motionless. "He's inside. Please, help me," she cried, nearly tripping over her own feet. The man, John Duru, a wealthy businessman and Lagos socialite, grumbled under his breath. This was the last thing he had expected when he set out for a short trip to the village for an event. First, a crazy woman jumps in front of his car. Now, he's playing doctor, he thought to himself. But something about the desperation in Pauline's voice nagged at him. As soon as they entered the dimly lit room, the stench of herbs and sickness filled John's nostrils. He wrinkled his nose. "What in God's name is..." Pauline ignored him and rushed to Zion's side. "Zion, wake up. Help is here." John stepped closer, scanning the frail boy's sweat-drenched face. His medical knowledge was limited to watching hospital scenes in movies, but even he could tell that the boy was in serious danger. "How long has he been like this?" John asked. "Since morning," Pauline choked out. "I've tried everything, but nothing is working. I can't lose him too." Her voice broke. John rubbed his face, exhaling. "All right, we need to get him to a proper hospital now." Pauline's eyes widened. "A hospital? But we have no money." John gave her a look. "Did I ask if you had money?" Pauline blinked, startled. John pulled out his phone and dialed a number. "Dr. Idris, meet me at St. Teresa's Hospital now. I have a critical case." Pauline stared at him in awe. Who was this man? Without another word, John scooped Zion into his arms as if he weighed nothing. Pauline rushed to follow, her heart thudding in both fear and relief. As they sped towards the hospital in John's sleek black SUV, Pauline sat at the back, clutching Zion's hand. John kept glancing at her through the rear view mirror, his brows furrowed in irritation. I still can't believe you jumped in front of my car like that. Do you have a death wish? Pauline didn't look up. If I had died, at least someone would have stopped to help Zion. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. What if I was some lunatic? Pauline finally met his gaze in the mirror. Well, are you a lunatic? John smirked. No, just a very annoyed man who should be in bed by now. Despite the situation, Pauline almost smiled. They arrived at St. Teresa's Hospital, and the moment the nurses saw John, they sprang into action. Sir, right this way, one of them said, leading them to a private ward. A private ward, without even the nurses asking him questions. Pauline watched in amazement. Who exactly was this man? Dr. Idris, a short man with glasses, arrived moments later. After examining Zion, he sighed. It's severe malaria. He needs proper treatment, but he will be fine. Pauline let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Oh, thank God. John clapped his hands together. Good. Fix him up, Doc. Send me the bill later. Pauline turned sharply. Wait, no, you've done enough already. I can work to pay you back. John gave her a long, exasperated look. Woman, I own 5 businesses and a mansion in Banana Island. Do you think I need your money? Pauline opened her mouth, then closed it. 5 businesses, Banana Island. She cleared her throat. Well, I could at least cook for you, sir. John snorted. I have a chef too, and unless you cook better than a 5-star restaurant, I think I'll pass. Pauline folded her arms. You don't even know if I can cook. Can you? John said, raising an eyebrow. Pauline hesitated. That's not the point. But John chuckled, shaking his head. Then don't speak about it again. Just take care of your brother. Maybe we'll talk about repaying me when I'm ready. For the first time in weeks, Pauline felt like she wasn't alone. But who was this arrogant man that commanded such respect? She thought. Will Zion recover fully? Will this man walk away after helping them? What is this repayment he talked about? And what about her wicked uncles? Will they get away with what they stole from them? Find out in the final part of the story, dropping shortly. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. It will mean a lot to me. And let me know in the comment section what you think about the story. Until I come your way again soon, stay happy.